Hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of my Beatles ranking series where I'm going through all of the Beatles studio songs for the most part. And if you haven't watched any of the other ones, I encourage you to watch the series. I have them under a Beatles playlist on my channel. So please look under Beatles and you'll see all of these episodes. So I last left us at number 95 with Honey Pie. I'm going to start today with number 94. Let's stick to the ever so sweet Honey and refer to Honey Don't, number 94. Another Ringo Starr song. Again, one of my favorite Ringo covers. I know I mentioned Act Naturally in the last episode. I like this one just a little bit more than Act Naturally. I love the interaction that he has with George Harrison with the lead guitar tracks where he says, rock on George one time for me and one time for Ringo. It's just one of those old Carl Perkins songs that Ringo does so well, and you can tell George is having a great time playing lead guitar from this Beatles for Sale cut. But I always Beatles for Sale is right in the middle for my favorite Beatles albums. It's higher than most, but I always love this song. So Honey Don't, number 94. Number 93, one of my favorites from McCartney, What You're Doing. I love the introductory drum beat, that doom ba bum bum ba da boom ba bum bum ba da, and then that guitar boom ba bum 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 ba da do do, and then there's that look what you're doing. I'm feeling blue and lonely. Why should it be so much to ask of you? And I love when he cuts into it with the part I've been waiting here for you. I love his vocal inflection of this song, and it's a song that probably I think could have been a hit if had the Beatles not been as good with their other songs. I think for a lot of other groups, this song could have been a pretty good hit. Just that catchy drum beat, kind of like a "Be My Baby" kind of thing, where that was kind of the hook. So I love this song. What You're Doing, number 93. 92, the Revolver Cut, Good Day Sunshine, another Paul McCartney track. Very very kind of R&B, almost Motown with that horn section. The do 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 do. Oh, excuse me, I'm thinking I've Got to Get You Into My Life. The Good Day Sunshine has that big build up, that doom 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 doom. Good Day Sunshine. Again, one of those classic '60s songs to me. It's not as cringy as a Brady Bunch song, but it always reminded me of like a Brady Bunch kind of arrangement. That's probably hypocrisy, and obviously I love the song at number 92, but it's very, very bubblegum sounding for the Beatles. And again, like I said, it's very 60s, very 1966. And then it kind of gets a little trippy at the end with the whole "Good Day Sunshine," and then it's like the layered voices, "Good Day Sunshine." Again, one of those flower power type songs that's just so good. So number 92. 91, the track that should have been on Let It Be, but it was not, Don't Let Me Down, one of the great John Lennon kind of blues rockers. Fantastic opener to that song. The doom boo doo 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 shop. Don't let me down, don't. And Billy Preston makes that song. He's that glue within the song that kind of holds it together. I love seeing them on the Get Back documentary on Disney, the Peter Jackson film, with Billy playing that, and he's just feeling it, and how much it adds to that song when he's on there. It would have been so cool to see him tour with the Beatles in the '70s, because I can imagine the Beatles may have gotten together again in the '70s. Had they continued kind of and like kind of that vein, that "Don't Let Me Down," or even like the "I Want You, She's So Heavy" vein, where they were kind of following the Stones on albums like Sticky Fingers, Exile, Beggar's Banquet, stuff like that. It would have been neat to see how that would have transpired in the '70s, but I love the song, Don't Let Me Down. Number 90, one of the great singles, Paperback Writer. Again, one of those great story songs by Paul McCartney about a guy that's trying to make it big as an author. He's trying to get his book published. "Dear Sir or Madam, would you read my book? It took me years to write. Will you take a look?" It's based on a novel by a man named Lear, and I need a break, and I want to be a paperback writer. Paperback writer, and then it kind of stops, and then it's kind of got the trippy paperback writer, 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 and then like that heavy guitar, burning down, 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 burning down. It's just so good. One of those great Beatles singles, and it, it's just one of those songs where you think about it as being on a Beatles album, but then you remember, no, that was never on a Beatles album. That was a single. So just killer stuff. 89, let's hop back to the the Abbey Road album with the song Polythene Pam, which, of course, follows Me, Mr. Mustard. Um, with that, the Polythene Pam, where he mentions Mr. Mustard's sister Pam, and that song, his sister Pam works in the shop, she never stops. And then Polythene Pam has that chong 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 bom bom, and then it's just great fast paced lyrics. Did you see Polythene Pam? Don't she's so good looking, but she looks like a man. Just crazy, kind of like Lola by the Kinks kind of lyrics. But somebody dressed up in drag, where she looks like a man in drag. You should see her in drag. Yes, you should see Polythene Pam. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then that kind of solo that leads into She Came In Through the Bathroom Window. Love that track. Polythene Pam, killer part of that medley. Number 88. Now I'm going to talk about Got to Get You Into My Life from Revolver. Again, that great brass section. Could have been like an Earth, Wind and Fire kind of song later on. I was alone. I took a ride. I didn't know what I would find there. And Paul obviously said that the song to him was like his pot anthem, though it's hard to say. It's one of those songs where it's got some great love lyrics. So he knew what he was doing. It goes both ways. You can think about it as a pot song, but it's really not lyrically. Again, great ending vocals by Paul. Got to get you into my life. It just full on. It doesn't sound like anything else that the Beatles had really done by that point. Love it. Number 87, a George Harrison cover, Roll Over Beethoven, from the Beatles for Sale album. Again, early George, love it. I love how he sings these early songs. This Chuck Berry tune, gonna rock a little letter, gonna mail it to my local DJ. It's rocking. I'm sure it taught a lot of people about Tchaikovsky and Beethoven. Kind of had that. It's just a great idea for a song about Beethoven rolling over in his grave, about hearing this rock and roll music essentially, and just one of those great covers. And a few years later, ELO would perform a more spaced out version of the song, and Jeff Lynne always held it in high regard. So 87, Roll Over Beethoven. 86, their first big hit, I would say, Love Me Do from Please Please Me. One of those great early Lennon McCartney double lead vocals, very Everly Brothers and the harmonies. And Paul McCartney always tells the line about John Lennon was singing a lot of the lead on the song, that he also had to play harmonica, where they go, please love me do. And when he started the word do, he had to play the harmonica again. And they tried to do it without the harmonica at that part, but it didn't work. So George Martin said to Paul, you sing that line solo so John can play the harmonica, because essentially they're doing it live, and that's how they would need to do it, performing it live. So Paul always talks about those early takes of that song. You can hear the nerves in his voice, and he said he still, kind of smiles when he hears that track. But great Beatles song. It's a fun one to play on harmonica with guitar. It's one of my favorites to play. So Love Me Do, number 86. And it even shows up on the Please Please Me album cover with, Love Me Do and other great hits, wherever it says. Number 85, same album. I'm going to go with P.S. I Love You. Love the vocalizations of it, especially the end where they kind of go up, where Paul goes, as I write this letter, and then oh, send my love to you. I want you to remember. It's just so good. I'll be coming home again to you, love. I love it. I love those early Beatles harmonies. I'm a lot like Jeff Witcher in that, I'm a sucker for harmony. So P.S. I Love You is 85. 84, back to Revolver with the opening track, Taxman, which of course, actually is Paul McCartney playing the lead guitar, that very kind of messy, that it's kind of like just heavy strumming type guitar. It's got that great count in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, boom, bop, boom, bop, bop, bop. So good. I mean, it's just great. I love that George would play it again on his tour with Eric Clapton in Japan. It's just a fantastic song. It's one of the Beatles' more political songs about Mr. Wilson, Mr. Heath, talking about some UK politics. And I know he changed the lyrics a little bit later on in the 80s to make it more relevant, but just a great song. And that album with the 3 George tracks was revolutionary for him to get his songwriting out there. So it's a great rocker, and one of George's strongest songs. '83, we're going to go back to the album Help with the John Lennon. Beautiful song, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. It's John Lennon kind of taking a lot of inspiration from Bob Dylan, and the lyrics, the guitar and the maracas. It's great with the flutes in the background. Again, Help was one of their first major transitions on an album because you had more orchestration. You had obviously like a song like Yesterday that would, would come along later on in the album that was just Paul, the whole orchestra, and they were really moving in a more progressive direction with the movie Help and the accompanying music. But I've always loved You Got to Hide Your Love Away. There's a great version out there by Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. Check that out. And again, it's one of my favorite John Lennon ballads. So You Got to Hide Your Love Away, number 83. Number 82, back to the Please Please Me album with the cover song Please Mr. Postman, which the Beatles, switched up some of the pronouns so that it fit them instead of, the girl groups. Wait, that starts with that, wait, oh yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman, wait. And then great background vocals by Paul and George with John singing that really great strong lead vocal where he's going, please, please, Mr. Postman. Paul and George, I've been waiting a long, long time since I've heard from this guy of mine. I love what they do to the song. It was the first time that I'd ever heard the song was listening to the Beatles version. So Please Mr. Postman is number 82. 81, we're going to go to the White Album again with the heavy track that Charles Manson stole from the Beatles and U2 stole it back. It's the song Helter Skelter. Just fantastic, heavy Beatles. Is it heavy metal? Kind of. But it was one of those songs that was, just incredibly heavy that, at this point, 1968, Led Zeppelin, Cream, groups like that were playing, the Yardbirds in their later formation were playing some heavy stuff, and the Beatles needed to stay relevant with the style. And so they did a song like Helter Skelter, which just blew a lot of the other stuff out of the water in terms of the heaviness. And it just shows, Paul can do a song like, Good Day Sunshine, and then do a song like Helter Skelter 2 years later, and it shows like, wow, that guy's really diverse in his stylings. It's just that fantastic, and then Ringo comes in with the drums, the in the background. Just what can you say? Is it overdone? Yeah, McCartney does it a lot, but Ringo kills it. Great bass, that doom 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 doom. It's just very heavy, and I like the song a lot. So Helter Skelter, 81. Number 80, the title track to the Hard Day's Night film, Hard Day's Night, with that fantastic chord that starts that perplexed so many people. Like, what is that chord? And it's that that chord with George Martin playing the piano at the same time. That bow. It's been a hard day's night. Fantastic drumming by Ringo. I love the whole, when I get home to you, I find the things that you do that make me feel alright. And then John, when I'm gone, everything seems to be right. When I'm home, everything's holding me tight, tight, yeah. With Paul singing that part. I love those Beatles songs where you have Paul doing half and you have John doing half. It's that early partnership that I love to see so much. And can't get enough of it. So Hard Day's Night is number 80. And I will stop there. Yep. So let me know what you think of these tracks. Again, I'm sorry I'm going through this a little bit slow, but I don't want to make these videos too long, and it just extends the series. So hopefully you like it, and at some point I'll get back to my regular programming. So in the meantime, y'all be good. Take care. Comment. Thanks for all the new subscribers, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Bye now.